Hello there, CSL family. I am Leigh, the other one, yet again. Thank you so much for joining us. Please join us in singing our first song.
Good morning, CSL. My name is Kathy Baughman, and I'm one of the practitioners here. The Center for Spiritual Living is a spiritual community that honors all religions and all faiths because no person, group, or religion has exclusive rights to the truth. We know there's no wrong way to worship or recognize the divine, whether it's in a church, a synagogue, a temple, a mosque, an ashram, or immersed in nature. So we celebrate the diversity in religious practices with our ceremony this morning, the Flames of Faith. The candle is lit for the Tao, to honor the universal path of harmony, the middle way. The candle is lit for the shamanic traditions, honoring the belief and practices of all indigenous and tribal peoples. The candle is lit for Hinduism, to honor the spiritual path of devotion and the variety of religious icons and deities. The candle is lit for Judaism, to honor the path of sacred law. The candle is lit for Buddhism, to honor the Four Noble Truths and the way of compassion. The candle is lit for Christianity, to honor the Christ consciousness that lives in all of us. The candle is lit for Islam, to honor the path of peaceful submission to the will of God. The candle is lit for the universal religion of Baha'i, to honor the path of unity. The candle is lit for our own faith, New Thought, to honor the metaphysical path and the practice of universal spiritual principles. The last candle is lit for peace and for the peaceful acceptance of all faiths and spiritual practices in the world wide.
I'm taking my freedom, pulling it off the shelf, putting it on my chain, wearing it round my neck. I'm taking my freedom, putting it in my car, wherever I choose to go. It will take me far. I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 my life like it's golden. I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 living my life like it's golden. I'm taking my freedom, putting it in my song, singing it loud and strong and grooving all day long. I'm taking my freedom, putting it on the thing, putting it in my soul. Wherever I choose to go, I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 living my life like it's golden. I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. Living my life like it's golden, 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 yeah. Can't take it from me. I was born into it, it comes naturally. I'm strumming my freedom, playing the God in me, representing His glory. Hope He's proud of me. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Living my life like it's golden, living my life. Living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden. I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. Living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. Of your private room, you've been picking at the scab of some old wounds. You're cooking with the sorrow like it's your best friend, making it an inescapable end. See the light shining on the wall, it's gonna shine through the nightfall. Can you see a window of hope shining the light on every problem? A window of hope, always a chance that you can solve them. When you think it's all over and you wanna let go, the faintest glow is there to help you, I know. Keep looking for the light in the window of hope. You're shadow boxing almost every day. Don't you think it's time to put those gloves away? This kind of punishment should be a sin. Face it, that ain't no way to begin. No, see the light shining on the wall, it's gonna shine through the nightfall. Can you see a window of hope shining the light on every problem? A window of hope, always a chance you can solve. when it's over here to help you, I know. Keep looking for the light in the window of hope. Hope is a seed of life that was meant to flow, and a never-ending stream. And I can sleep at night now that I know hope is a waking dream. Can you see it? Can you see a window of hope? Through the light on every problem. A window of hope. Won't need a plan that you can solve them. When you think it's all over and you want to let go, the hope is over, and I know that I know. Keep looking for the light on a window of hope. Whoa, a window of hope. Oh, won't you keep looking for the light? You gotta keep looking. Oh, keep looking for the light. Even when it's dark out, say, keep looking for the light.
Good morning. My name is Debbie Gaunt, and it is my pleasure and my privilege to welcome you to today's service, no matter where you are, whether you're the few that are here in our building. I think we have 10 or less, according to the rules. And for those of you that are watching on Facebook Live, on Zoom, wherever you are coming to us from, I am so very grateful that all of you are here with us today. Wow, what a week, what an amazing amount of music. Life is golden, yes. And look for the window of light. I don't know, this week has been one of those weeks where I guess it's the end of an administration and the beginning of a new, but it feels like we're changing, we've turned a page. And sometimes in those moments of turning a page, it seems very reflective for me. And as my son and I visited this morning, we were both talking about these very things. The fact that there's hope for the world. The world is filled with wonderful, good people. And I tear up because his comment was like, yeah, Mama, just like everybody at your church. And I was like, wow, he's never been here. But he has heard everything that I've ever told him about all of you, and I am so very grateful to be a part of this community. So let's stand and let's say who we are and say it with determination, with meaning. We are a diverse and inclusive spiritual community expressing God as love. Thank you.
Good morning, CSL. Here it is, already January 24th. Can you believe it? Time's just flying by already this year. Already we're 4 weeks in. It's exciting. You know, history keeps being made. It seems like every time I stand before you, history is made again and again by such inspiring souls. I know, Debbie, you just talked about it. It was perfect segue to what I'm going to be talking about tonight. And that is widening our circle of compassion. And I know over the last several years, for me anyway, it really seems heavy at times that we want to withdraw into ourselves and sort of build up walls and protect ourselves from what we perceive is happening in the world that may not be serving everyone equally, or it just might feel as though a change is happening and many of us are not so easily changed. So this month we're talking about timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. And what that kind of means in terms of the Center for Spiritual Living communities all around the world is that we're going to be devoting this entire year into going back into our foundation, going back into the wisdom at the center of our being, and drawing from that wisdom and being able to create a higher vision, not only for ourselves and our community, but for the world. We started out this month talking about where all souls meet. And Reverend Mike has delivered the first 3 messages under this theme of timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision, and it's based on a book by Mark Nepo about the Book of Soul and the 52 Paths to Living What Matters by Mark Nepo. So in widening our circle this week, first of all, he started out on January 3rd, where all souls meet. January 10th, he talked about our walk in the world and the importance of forgiveness as a spiritual practice, not only for ourselves, but for the wider global community. And then the 3rd week, he talked about our true inheritance, and he talked about a story of the Golden Buddha. And it's a timeless story where these Buddhists were moving this clay Buddha in their monastery to another location. And in the moving, it cracked and it exposed a golden Buddha underneath. And he was saying that golden Buddha represented our inner spiritual life, that golden part of ourself that is divine. And so widening the circle today is tapping into that divinity that we know that we are, going back and thinking about forgiveness in terms of radical forgiveness, and also that golden side of ourself, that divinity, that we need to begin to recognize and realize it's not just us that have this golden center, but it's every living being, every person, regardless of what we might think about the actions of some people. There is no one in this entire world that is not totally and absolutely divine within. They just may not have an awareness of it, and so they act out of the smaller part of themselves. So in widening our circle, I wanted to talk first about something that Albert Einstein said. He said, "We experience our thoughts and our feelings as something separate from the rest of the world, but it's a kind of delusion. The delusion becomes like a prison, restricting us to our personal desires and our affections only to a few persons within that are nearest to us. Our task," he says, "is to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion, to embrace all of humanity and all living beings." So what this physicist is really saying, he encourages us to widen our circle of care, since that deepens our relationship with life and all that matters. When we feel battered and bruised, like I know I personally have been feeling a lot lately, especially, but really it feels more grueling than that. It's just this constant, year after year for the past few years, feeling like I'm losing hope in a way. And I keep turning back to realizing and understanding that, you know, the young people today, they really have it figured out. And I'm grateful for that. And we're not letting ourselves off the hook, because I know that it's the work that we've done with our open hearts, bringing our open hearts out into the world, that our children have witnessed, and now our children's children will continue to witness that. And they know no difference. They don't understand why anybody would not be loving to another person. There is a story about the Sun newspaper in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And so we're going to be talking about widening the circle in terms of honoring the anonymous nature of some people. When we try to get to know people, we have to understand and respect that many people, when they open up, they would like that opening to be anonymous. And so we have to care about the other person's perspective just as much as we care about it being more inclusive and understanding in our own life. So the story about this newspaper in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, this newspaper is about a community of people that are in conversation about their lives, and it's an ongoing conversation. So the story is around the 2007 issue that they had. So as tens of thousands of copies of this newspaper were waiting at the printer to be mailed, someone called them, the staff, on behalf of an inmate whose piece was about prison gangs that were featured in that month's publication. So in the prison mail system, it was really slow, and he just received his copy for his own editing. And they received word that he wanted to alert them that they'd neglected to sign his piece with name withheld, which he requested because he was in fear of reprisal over the gang leaders that he wrote about. So because this inmate was on death row in a maximum security prison, they had no easy way to contact him. So they thought about it and they thought about it. So the staff postponed mailing, and what they did was that one by one they took each of these 70,000 copies and tried to correct them by hand. And then they debated about maybe going ahead and mailing these things out. But in the end, they decided they had no choice but to reprint all 70,000 copies, this time with the prisoner's piece correctly attributed to name withheld. So if you think about it, that was an extraordinary moment of community for these people, where the staff committed to honoring the person who had reached out to them with his story, with his heart. They could have weighed the cost of the reprinting of the 70,000 copies with an exposure to an inmate that was on death row anyway. They could have excused it away. But don't we do that sometimes as well? Maybe not to that scale, but don't we minimize sometimes the ethics of a situation based on the effort it takes to meet the situation? As that deepens, don't we sometimes minimize the ethics of it and try to get by? So we're constantly challenged to transcend that pragmatism that we have. So we see a woman that falls on the street and we're concerned, but we're already late and we figure someone else will help her out. We're all kindred spirits here, meeting each other in the midst of our wonder and pain. Considering the many ways we turn from each other out of convenience, or out of laziness, or out of disrespect. What the Sun staff did with that inmate's, they put themselves in that inmate's shoes, realizing that his suffering and his fear were just as important as the changes that they needed to make it happen. So when we're talking about widening our circles, I mean, we're faced with so much right now. A pandemic that's killing 4,000 people every single day. In the United States, we've reached 400,000 people who've lost their lives. And the heaviness of the grief that's piled on and piled on and piled on. That finally, just this Tuesday, there was a national recognition of that loss and the grief that these 400,000 families and friends have been dealing with. We're also faced with the thought of and the possibilities that have arisen over things about racial injustice, systemic injustice. So now's the time for us to expand our circles in a social circle way. So we got to expand our cultural boundaries and unlearn the prejudice that we've had that's unraveling in our country right now. So I know it's hard. In this odd new world where families live far away from one another, and parenting is a 24-hour-a-day, 18-year marathon, finding like-minded people, like-minded loving families to share with fun and the burden is essential. So finding our village is not only good for our health, but it's good for our jobs, and it helps us live longer. So, but the smallness of those social circles that we have limit our compassion and our ability to empathize with other people and the appreciation of the vastness of human experience. The fact is that social and cultural segregation is keeping us from understanding and respecting one another. So a recent poll survey found that relatively few adults say they have a lot in common with those that don't share their own racial background. And this is especially true of adults who are only one race. So among those who are single race individuals, whites, 62% say they have a lot in common with the people in the U.S. who are white, while less than 10% they say they have a lot in common with people who are Black, Asian, or American Indian. So a similar pattern is in effect as well for single race Black or Asian peoples. So the one thing that I know about understanding the divinity within all of us and widening our circle to include everyone in that divinity and seeing everyone with dignity and respect. Tom Robbins said, "Our similarities bring us to common ground, but our differences allow us to be fascinated with each other." So, John Wesley in 1749 said, "Though we cannot think alike, may we not love alike? Though we're not of one opinion, may we not be of one heart?" So many times we harden our minds to change, and it comes from this desperate effort to assure ourselves that who we think we are won't be affected or vanish or melt away as we're being exposed to people who are different than we are. Healthy change is called growth, and the essence of who we are will only grow from listening and being with other people that are not like us. So for several years, before I admitted that I needed hearing aids, I found myself asking people to repeat themselves until finally I just kind of began to withdraw from conversations. And I became acclimated to not hearing, and then I went into my own little world. In this quiet, normal little world, everything was good. I was happy. Everyone got along. And I didn't hear any bad news. I didn't hear anything at all. When we conform to the comfort of our own small world, we resist any form of views that differ from ours, and we become mind deaf, which means we impose the dullness of our thinking onto the world and consider that's normal. Being mind deaf means that we think that our understanding of life is the only valid way. When we use the history of our own feelings and resist the truth of other people's feelings, we become heart deaf. So I spoke a little bit ago about how we become overwhelmed sometimes with all that's going on in the world. And we long for just one glimpse of joy. I have to tell you, this has really been difficult for me. I used to laugh a lot and laugh about everything. It doesn't seem like I find my joy like I used to. So now I want to talk about the wanting place that Mark Nepo talked about. He said, because we're so rearranged by being in the world, we have to return again and again to that original presence to renew our authenticity. The wanting place is a place that we yearn for, that we want to return to. It's a natural state of our being where our soul can breathe. Do you know the way to your wanting place? I've stayed faithful to my wanting place. I know where it is, and I know what it is. And I return again and again to this thought that Mark Nepo brought out in the very first chapter of his book, and he talked about the student self and the teacher self. And the student self being that part of us that gets involved with life, but we're always trying to find answers to the question of how in this situation can I make my life easier? And the teacher self is that place of soul, that place where the wisdom resides in us, that shows us a new experience, gives us new experiences so that we can look at life in a different way. And I think about the sadness. The sadness, I think, that brought tears to Debbie's eyes as she was speaking about all that's going on, in a sense of hopelessness that we feel. Just as last Monday we celebrated the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. And he lived in similar times. And so I thought about that a lot. And he said, I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daylight of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. Unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word. So as I watched this ceremony for the 400,000, the memorial ceremony that our new President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris gave at the Washington Memorial, my spirits were lifted. Hell, I cried all the way through it, of course, but something told me, as many of us know, that a new day is dawning. And what's unfolding is all the dreams that have come before, from all the people who have loved before and have seen the light and have dreamed big for themselves and for humanity, like Martin Luther King. And then came the inauguration on Wednesday. By the time it was over, I was just a puddle of tears and joy that I could never express. But I was hopeful. Messages of hope and healing and unity gave my soul so much comfort. I was gaga over Lady Gaga and her singing of the national anthem. And then I watched firefighter Andrea Hall lead Pledge of Allegiance, and she did it as she was speaking sign language. It was such a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. I always get high with J-Lo. But then I think the real star and the thing that brought me back to realizing that it's in our young people. They have the passion. They know no restrictions. Amanda Gorman was a young poet who read a poet that she created especially for the inauguration. She finds herself among those in history who will be so well known for the work that they do, for the heart that they are, for the divinity that they express, for the light in the world. I was in awe of her, and so was the world. Her poem was entitled "The Hill That We Climb," and I'd just like to, in closing, read just a few excerpts from it, because I think it really speaks to the hope that we all have now, that there is a brighter day coming, that I know it won't be long before I'm up here telling jokes again, feeling as if I can breathe, that wanting place, that place of light, that place that I go, that I know that all things are right. So here's just a few excerpts from "The Hill We Climb." She said, "When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. And yes, we're far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we're striving to form a union that's perfect. We're striving to forge a union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. The hill we climb if we only dare. So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe, now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. But one thing is certain, if we merge mercy with might, and might with right, then love becomes our legacy, and change our children's birthright. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover, in every known nook of our nation and every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge, battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there's always light. If only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be. So now I'd like to move into prayer with the thoughts of that beautiful poetic piece on my mind and in my heart that brings me to that wanting place, that place where I know that my authentic wisdom prevails. Where I know that I can come to be revived and renewed in my exploration of life, as I widen the circles of knowing, of loving, and of giving. As I create a place of silence and peace that give comfort to all before me. I am grateful for a chance to see the world around me evolve back into empathy and grace. Where justice for all will be revealed. Where loving compassion will be the norm. Where our similarities bring us to common ground. But we fall on our knees with joy as we see that the differences create such a tapestry of beauty. I give thanks for this day, for knowing that life turns to me as I reach out for it with a loving heart and an open mind. So now we'll just move into the silence for a few moments as we bask in the joy and the beauty of life around us. And so it is.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be.
At this time, I would like to take a moment and remind you that if you find that you are in need of prayer or support, of friendship or companionship, you're just feeling lonely, you're just wanting to share something with someone, reach out to our prayer practitioners. They're a group of, I think, 12 or 13 now. I can't even keep track. There's so many. It's amazing. They're reaching out to everyone in our groups. They're available to you through the website. You can fill out a prayer request card online. They change the 24-hour prayer line. There's a new prayer every single day. And now we even have these Zoom prayer rooms after the service each week. Reach out to them. They're here for you. They want to hear from you. At this time, we want to thank each and every one of you for all that you do for this community and all that you do for the greater good. But without your support, it would be very much more challenging to try to keep all of this going. The services, the things that we do within the community, the things that we do beyond our communities. So whatever you do, we appreciate it through your time, your talent, your treasure, your gifts that you give to us. It's all so much appreciated. Your giving can be done through the website. There are several different apps that you can use. You can send checks if you want to do that straight to the office. Whatever you do, it is received with gratitude and with love, and then it is passed forward out into our community. For all that you do, again, I say thank you, and to each and every one of you, I say namaste.
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
So I want to thank everybody for being here today, and thank the beautiful band, the music. Thank you, Leigh. It was lovely. Glad I got to be here when you were here. I watch you. I admire you. Beautiful. Thank you. And thank everybody here that gives up their time to record these services every week. And we look forward to seeing you next week, the last week of January, where the topic is going to be about helping each other stay awake. So that ought to be interesting, so I'll get plenty of sleep before that one. Okay, so now if we just want to say our affirmation, our closing affirmation. Who are we? I am a perfect expression of God, entitled to a life of love and joy. And so it is.